silence we are bound. Greatest victory found with ease. No need to fight, no need to cease. Creeping through the twisted wood, echo shards where warriors stood. Just a breath, just a wish. No more war, no final fist. Wisdom whispers in the night. Strength and peace, no need to fight. Winners walk in soft embrace. No battle scars, no deadly taste. Silent shadows trace the ground. In this silence we are bound. Greatest victory found with ease. No need to fight, no need to cease. Silent shadows trace the ground. In this silence we are bound. Greatest victory found with ease. No need to fight, no need to cease.
Whispers in the dead night fire, broken dreams and twisted wire. Darkness feeds on fear's desire. Shadows creep, the flames grow higher. Moonlit graves and evil schemes, fighting phantoms, haunting dreams. Echoes of forgotten screams, horror not as it all seems. Battle cries in black and void, demons that I once enjoyed. Now my strength they can't avoid. Living past I'm forced to destroy. I suppose the blood they crave, spirits risen from the grave, clawing beasts the souls they save. I'll be fighting till I cave. Monsters hiding in my fears, bloody masks and deadly leers, fending off the painful jeers. Victory drowning in my tears. Battle cries in black and void, demons that I once enjoyed. Now my strength they can't avoid. Living past I'm forced to destroy. 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 Moonlit graves and evil schemes, fighting phantoms, haunting dreams. Echoes of forgotten screams, horror not as it all seems. Battle cries in black and void.
Alright, evening everybody. Welcome to another episode of, honestly, I don't really have a name for this particular thing I'm doing. Me fucking around with game design? Yeah, sounds like a good name. I don't think Twitch likes it, but that's a good name. How's everybody doing tonight? Bitey's brains. It's a very short stream if that was the case. Ow. Alright, so for tonight, give me 1 second. Let me take a sip of my nappy juice. Yay, energy drinks. So tonight I'm going to be working on the adversaries. When the core rulebook launches, it will have a truncated section of the adversaries in it. It's going to contain between 9 and 27 adversaries. No more than 36. I'm still working on exact numbers and space as far as the core rulebook is concerned. it won't have the full amount and the full rules, just enough to play. The game, the game. The goal is for the core rulebook to be all you absolutely need in order to play. Unlike a Dungeons and Dragons where you need to buy 3 books, or Pathfinder where you need to buy 2, with the Shattered World, you just need to buy the 1 book. But what I have here is, for those that have been watching the stream, this is the skill page and attribute page of the character sheet. I'm basically going to be doing a version of this for the adversaries. We've been in ad break the entire time I've been talking. God damn it. Okay, you can still hear me. Cool. I do not get these ad breaks. This stupid green warning button is wrong, like every time. Anyway, no ad breaks, so I will talk. So, as I've mentioned before in stream, adversaries are broken down into one of 4 power levels and then one of 9 categories. So the 4 power levels are just rough approximations of where they stand in terms of power, hence the name. In the game, that's going to be called Threat of Force, or just T-Force. Those categories are A, or Alpha, and that is your very weak, your cannon fodder, your... Even a normal human can take on a couple of these. For those of you familiar with D&D and the like, these are, again, your... A fire team of 4 players should be able to take them out with little to no resources used. Beta ranked enemies are roughly equivalent to a normal human being. A fire team member can go one-on-one with a beta ranked enemy and probably win. It's touch and go, but they can probably win. A fire team will probably need to use some resources to take them out, but it's not horrible. Charlie ranked enemies are... Hey, Mind, good question. Yes, this is... So I'm still working on the sheet. As I said, this is literally just the attribute page from the character sheet. My goal is to have it all fully editable. I'm still teaching myself how to do that, so it's going to be a little bit, but yes. Mind, mine, tomato, tomato, it's all good. I like saying Mind scramble. It messes with my head, and I like that. Everybody else messes with my head. I might as well get in on the joy. But mine scramble, my bad. Where was I? Charlie. So, of course. And then again, for anyone else watching, I am popping in between what I'm working on and the stream itself, the chat. So, if you ask a question, I will try to answer you. It may just take me a second to do so. In fact, while I am thinking about that, dupe. So, Charlie ranked adversaries. A Charlie rank adversary is a match for a full fire team of 4. Can a fire team of 4 beat a Charlie adversary? Sure. Don't be surprised if you take casualties. You can avoid them with careful preparation, expending resources, and sheer luck. But a Charlie adversary is a challenge for a 4-person fire team. And then Delta ranked adversaries are, you've been saving those resources for a rainy day? It's pouring. Use them now, please. You've been hoarding potions since day 1. Now's the day to use them. Now's the time. Delta rank adversaries are one of those, oh shit, I've ID'd it. Yeah, it's time to call in backup. An example I gave in the last stream is Supernatural Hunters Incorporated, SHI. One of their organization-specific merits is basically a mortar team, where once per week you can shell an area with mortars. That's what you do when there's a Delta level adversary in that area. Don't wait. Take them down now, or there's going to be death and destruction. So, what I'm doing now, that's your power levels. As far as categories, there are, as I said, 9 categories. Each one is based off one of the skills, one of the skills, and that's what you would use to identify it. So, dream rights, for example, are based off the artistry knowledge specialty, and they are believed to be born from the dreams and fears of people. To backtrack a little bit, supernatural beings in the Shattered World have always existed, just like magic. In the adversary section, there is it opens with a quote from a character, and I'm going to go ahead and read that real quick, because that'll give you an idea of what's going on adversary-wise. Yeah, I did a lot of coding when I was younger. Alpha male just means you're not ready for release yet. That, and as somebody with a degree in psychology, I absolutely hate the wolf pack theory. Even the guy who created it said, no, this isn't what I was talking about. This is dumb. You're stupid. And yeah. Like, as somebody with a background in psychology, hearing somebody say they like somebody even seriously, non-ironically mentioning alpha male, sigma male, whatever, that is every bit a red flag to me as saying you like Zimbardo. Don't fucking do that. You're better than that. You're smarter than that. But the quote, this is how the adversary section is going to open. When mankind took its rightful place as masters of this world, many of the supernatural entities objected. Those who learned their place were allowed to continue, but many, sadly, could not come to terms with their new reality. Since these tears have opened, there has been a resurgence in problems thought long fixed. We do not mind fixing the problems again if needed. Victoria Andalette, Field Commander, Leeds Branch of SHI. So imagine everything I just said with a real snobby English accent. At this point, I can barely speak in a Allen accent, so fucking English accent. Oh. Yeah, I'm not angry enough for a German accent. I can do mine and I can do a shitty southern one. That's about it. Ailman, yes. I can sound drunk. Does that count? That's like ale. But supernatural entities largely were wiped out. Like, yes, some still survive, but most of them were wiped out prior to the tears opening 5 years ago. Since then, again, no one is sure if the tears are creating them, if they're being manifested from people around them, if they are coming through them, or maybe the supernatural creatures just went into hiding and now they're being drawn to the tears like moths to a flame. In universe, no one knows. That is one of the many mysteries that players will get to explore and hopefully figure out. Alemán is Spanish for German. Yeah, I'm not awake enough for that shit. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? That is my Spanish. Cuanto lo siento, pero mi español es muy malo. ¿Tú hablas inglés? Alright, where were we? Thank you, thank you. Mi mono es un fuego porque más fricción. I appreciate that. I've gotten a lot better at it, mostly because some bastard who is not on this stream right now, a very loving bastard, he's a good person, good man, decided to have me play Among Us, a game I had never played before, and as I'm trying to learn it, they're asking me questions about the Shattered World. Because they're a bastard. Again, nothing but love and respect. It really is. El chupacabra es en mis pantalones. That's not a chupacabra. The fabled goat sucker. Wait a minute. Oh. Alright. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I am a professional. So, adversaries, as many of them have changed from what people are used to, recently there's been a push, again, in-universe, to recategorize many of them. One of the things is that I've really tried to hammer home isn't the right word, but really hammer home is that, again, magic has always existed in this world. Magic evolved right alongside technology and theology and science, the whole nine. So this world went through its phrenology stage. This world went through its World War II and other stuff like that that I can't say without fear of being demonetized. All of those things happened in this world. I don't know what I'm not, but yes, I am. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I said, but yes, I am. So, fantasy races, right? When you create your character with the core rule book, you will only be allowed to make a human. There are no elves, there are no dwarves, there are no halflings or goblins. Those do not exist. Now, many of them are thought to have existed. periodically you will find an archaeologist who claims to have found an elf skull, but elves, dwarves, halflings, the inhabitants of the Shattered World view them the same way you or I in our world would view Neanderthal or Homo erectus or one of the other near Homo sapien relatives. Oh, professional? No, not even a fucking little bit. That is the current theory, yes. Some say hunted out of existence. Some say merely outcompeted. Some say they never existed, and this is all just a lie cooked up by big archaeology to get research grants. There are some families that claim descent from these near human races, but again, there's no real proof of that. Right. Remember, this is a world where the magical Illuminati exist and are publicly known, so enjoy that tinfoil hat, dude. Like, one of the things I've really had fun with this game is the lore, because there's... One sec. Excuse me. Alright, sorry about that. So yeah, there's a reason why most urban fantasy sticks with the hidden world trope, right? Like, you have your modern world over here, and then over here, through a portal in the sewer of London, you get to Nightside, or on the rainy streets of Chicago, hidden from most mortal views, you have this one wizard who advertises in the phone book, right? Like, there's a reason most urban fantasy, most modern fantasy uses the hidden world trope. It's because once you start introducing magic, everything changes. Everything. And you have to explain it. Why was trench warfare so bad if there are people in your world that know how to do portals, right? Like, why does hunger exist when fucking Create Goodberry is a level 1 cantrip? Why did the Spanish flu wipe out 20 million people worldwide when Cure Disease is a level 3 spell? Those are questions you have to answer. And I've had a lot of fun doing that, and just looking at how the world would change based on one or two little things. I often call the Shattered World modern fantasy, urban fantasy, and it is. There's magic, it is. But it is also just as much a work of alternate history, which is also something I love. But I am keeping myself off topic. So, the 9 categories. Sorry about that. I keep hitting my mic because I talk with my fucking hands. All adversaries are organized into one of the following categories. Again, you have your dream rights, which I went over a little bit ago. They're believed to have been born from the dreams and fears of people. They're naturally agile and evasive, and they're often found feeding on the sleeping or unconscious. You have cognition... I know words. The best words. They're fucking great words. I can't say them, but I know them. Next up, you have cognition leeches. They are based off the behavioral science specialty for knowledge. These are predators that often take human or humanoid form. And they're very much the... How do I put this? So, in pop culture, a Michael Myers, a Jason Voorhees would be a Voidborn or a Revenant, right? Freddy Krueger would be a Cognition Leech. Cognition Leeches enjoy fucking with your head. The difference between a Voidborn and a Cognition Leech is a Voidborn will kill you. A Cognition Leech enjoys the act. I've seen some of them, I believe. The name sounds familiar. Um, but after Cognition Leeches, you have creatures of flesh and form. And those are basically your Chimera style enemies. They are the exactly what it sounds like. After that, you have Coinbound. So those are your beings, or I'm sorry, the flesh and form are based off biology. Coinbound are based off the business skill, and again, they are exactly what it says on the tin. That's not an argument, that's just right. Pinhead, honestly, he's one that I never got into when I was younger. Pinhead is cool. I like Pinhead, but he was never one of the big ones to me. To me, he occupied that same tier that, like, Phantasm did. Good movie. Great movies. Not on the same tier, if that makes sense. But Coinbound are the ones based on business. They are absolutely the deal makers. They tend to not be as powerful as a flesh and form, but they're your let's make a deals. They're your gins. They're your classic old scratch style devil, right? Like they're your monkey paws. Revenants are largely undead, but not exclusively. Revenants are based off history. So anything that animates objects, anything that or animates historical objects, anything ghosts, ghouls, ancient beings of battle, those are all revenants. Sovereigns are beings made to rule. They are your leaders, they are your bards. Define breaking. I mean, how could a Coinbound be a threat? We've got a series of movies called Wishmaster that explain exactly how a Coinbound could be a threat. Remember, the greatest strength of humans in pop culture isn't that a human is strong, or a human is smart, or fast, or clever, or wise. A vampire in pretty much any fiction can take out one, two, three, dozen, 100, like scores of humankind without breaking a sweat. Humans are not a threat. Let me rephrase. A human is not a threat. 1,000 humans are a threat. So that depends on the story you're telling. I will say in the Desperate Gamble, the game I'm running every Sunday, there are adversaries in this mall of every category. Some of them are opposed to the players. Some of them will bend over backwards to help the players because that's what they want to do to gain power themselves. Again, for my listeners who are used to a Dungeons and Dragons or a Pathfinder, it's very easy to view a game as just a dungeon run, right? You go into the dungeon, you slay everything that moves, you take their shit, and you go. The Shattered World, in this case, yes, we can do dungeon runs. The game is set up to be very tactical to support that. But this is a cooperative storytelling game. Think of it closer to a Vampire the Masquerade or World of Darkness game in that regard. The story is the reason for playing. If your story is there's a Delta level oh, you can have the catty backstabbing. That's absolutely something you can have. For me, when I was setting this up, one of the reasons why I had the Dungeon Master role in this game is called the narrator. The reason why I went with that was a couple reasons. Number one, yes, you are the one that has to know the rules to a greater degree than the others. Yes, you are the one, quote unquote, running the world for the players to fuck around in. Absolutely true. However, it's called narrator because this is not my world as the DM and you are players in my world and it is player versus DM. That is not the name of the game. The narrator role is much closer. Think of it less like a writer and more like a television show showrunner. Right? You are the one who sets the overarching plot. The plot for this game is Chapter 1, you're gonna try to stabilize this terror in a mall. Chapter 13, you're gonna kill God. Right? We're going Final Fantasy style. That is what the showrunner does. That is what the narrator does. And throughout your adventures, you're going to run into these mobs. There's going to be these encounters scattered around. These NPCs are going to be making power plays, blah, blah, blah. The players are like the directors. Excuse me. The players are like the directors of individual episodes. Just as much as they are the heroes, the main characters. I choose the overarching plot. You choose whether this episode has the Mission Impossible music or the Benny Hill theme song. That's your job as a player. And if we're not all on the same page, the story isn't going to work. That doesn't mean we need to telegraph everything. That doesn't mean there can't be surprises. That doesn't mean you can't mess with each other. But everyone needs to know where we stand when the game begins. I am a big believer in Session Zero for exactly that reason. I was doing a game with a couple people that I'd never met before. And we showed up. And we had kind of mentioned in chat, right? But this was our first time meeting everybody. We did no Session Zero. We did nothing like that. The session we went to was kind of Session 0.5. And one of the players showed up with this like Frankenstein Goliath, and they were very serious, and it was a very serious character, and it was great. No joke, his character was awesome. His face was stapled together, and I and one of the other players showed up playing twin goblin alchemists who hated one another and constantly bickered, constantly argued about who was the older twin. We were artificers. They were an alchemist, and I was an artillerist. So they made a potion, and it made one person stop hurting. I made a potion, and it made the whole room stop hurting. Clearly, I was more efficient. But this player showed up, and they were like the barbarian Frankenstein with a tragic backstory. And within 5 minutes, my character is riding on his shoulder. My character was a goblin with the smuggler background, so he looked like a pirate. And artillerists in D&D 5th edition get a little cannon that follows them around on legs. So I made mine. Pirates have parrots, right? Well, my cannon can't fly, so I can't do a parrot. So my goblin had a cannon penguin sitting on his shoulder as he rode on the shoulder of this massive Goliath barbarian that had been re-stitched together. Now, in fairness, the person playing the Goliath was awesome, and he just kind of rolled with it, which was great. But you have to be careful when a group shows up, and some people show up expecting one type of game, and a jackass shows up entirely intent on playing an entirely different game. You got to find a way to meld those. That's what Session 0 is for. Random rant over. So, to get back, we talked about the Coinbound. We talked about the Revenants. Sovereigns are, again, the ones born to lead. Voidborn are kind of like your aberrations from D&D and Pathfinder. They're the ones born from outside this reality. They're the ones born of pure occult magic. They are the forgotten, the old ones, Cthulhu's damned children, whatever you want to call them. Forgeborn are beings made of the they're basically the opposite of the Voidborn. Voidborn are beings of outside this reality. Forgeborn are beings made of this reality. So they are your elementals. They are your golems. Be it giant rock monsters or your Jewish-style golem or Frankenstein. They are your I'm created of star stuff. Right. Oh, God. Fucking anime ass. So, for those of you that don't know, there is a game called Big Eyes, Small Mouth. And it is anime-based Dungeons and Dragons. And specifically the D20 version, I do not recommend playing. I ran a campaign in it, and it is to this day one of my favorite campaigns of all time. I made some mistakes running it. It was my first serious campaign, but it was great. And it is horrible. It is a bad system, and I do not often say that, nor say it lightly. If everybody shows up on the same page and agree, it's a great system. Run it. It's great. It's stupid. You're going to have fun. Enjoy. If one person is a jackass, that game is so easy to break. So, the simple answer to how do I avoid appropriation, number one, I don't do it as appropriation. The major goal of the Shattered World, there's a reason it's called the Shattered World and not the Shattered New York City or the Shattered Tokyo. The point of the Shattered World is that you should be able to play in the world right outside your door, wherever the fuck that door is. The official tagline will be a little cleaned up and have less swearing. All of the adversaries are from actual mythology. I have been doing what I can, such as visiting local museums, talking to guides, trying to reach out to the different communities and asking questions, doing what I can to make sure, to put it bluntly, that I'm making characters and not caricatures. Right? If you are a Native American, if you are from the Haudenosaunee, if you are from the Cherokee, whatever tribe, I want you to be able to pick up the Shattered World and see your heritage represented the same way that someone of Polish heritage or Lithuanian heritage or Japanese heritage or whatever is represented. One of my biggest complaints is Orientalism, right? Like the old Oriental Adventures Handbook for D&D 3.5. It was the quote-unquote Asian Adventures book, and it was going to highlight the beauty and majesty of Asian cultures and let you play in Eastern mythology, and that's great, right? Like, that sounds awesome. So are we going to learn about Filipino mythology? Are we going to do fucking Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Korea, Malaysia, right? No, of course not. Everybody's a fucking samurai. Everybody's a ninja. And, right, it was racist as fuck. My goal, and I'm absolutely going to fuck it up. I am one dude. I promise I am approaching everything with pure intentions, but I am going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. I'm not justifying it. It's just going to happen. There's only so much one person can do. If you see something in my books that is racist as fuck, and you're gonna, because again, I'm one person, I'm doing what I can, I'm doing my research, I'm visiting as many different cultures as I can, I'm visiting different museums, guides, etc. I'm gonna miss something. I hope I don't miss something as bad as, like, Spelljammer's Hadozi. I hope I don't go that far. I'd like to think I won't go that far. I'm not going to have a race of sentient monkey people that were raised from the depths of the jungle planet by a white wizard and taught to be civilized and now make their living mostly as athletes and entertainers. I hope I don't do that. If I do that, yell at me, please, because I deserve to be yelled at for that one. But, joking aside, kind of joking, please yell at me if I do that shit. As I said, I'm working from the best of intentions. I want everybody's culture to be represented. We've all seen the alien invasion trope of the aliens are invading the world, and by that I mean New York City and London and maybe Beijing if we want that market, and the rest of the world just, fuck it. I don't like that. I don't like it. There's a reason why in-universe the first tear happens in a small Rust Belt upstate New York town and not New York City. There's a reason why two of the first characters you run into when you're reading the book are Bika, who is from the Sami people of Finland, and Omar from Tanzania, Africa. Hey, Super, how you doing? The point was to try and represent as many different groups and cultures and peoples and have them fairly represented as possible. Feeling better myself. I've still got that stupid, random, annoying cough that I've had for the past 2 months. But otherwise, I'm fine. So, where was I? We talked about Voidborn, Forgeborn. Heralds are your divine entities. They are your be not afraids. They are your, okay, maybe you should be a little more afraids. Those. And then the final category are just plain vanilla mortals, whether that's mortals as in a human being or a mortal as in an animal. That's basically a catch-all category for the non-supernatural. How'd your stream end up going, Super? And again, for everybody on who's not familiar, go check out Super. He is amazing. Of course. Super is one of my playtesters. They are also in the Sunday game, and they have their own stream. They do a lot of Valheim and other survival games like that. Don't Starve, I believe. Great streamer. Check him out. But, so, those are your categories, and those are your threat force levels. So when we're making an adversary, let's go ahead Alright, so just like when you're making your character. Now, before I say this, let me backtrack. When the game launches, when the core rulebook launches, it will have a bunch of adversaries already created. What I'm doing right now is showing you how I roughly create an adversary. What I do, what their abilities will be, etc. So, the first thing we're going to do is create some alpha ranked adversaries. Again, these are the weakest of the batch. They're your stealthy types that die in one hit, your goblin swarmers, those kinds. But do any of you have a particular adversary you would like to see created for this? I can't promise they'll make the final cut into the core rulebook, but is there any enemy you would like to see? Too many fucking tabs. Excuse me. For the first one, I'm going to create a Striga. So, they are from Polish mythology. They're similar to a vampire. According to Alexander, I'm going to slaughter his name, but according to a Polish scholar, Alexander Bruckner, the word is derived from strix, Latin for owl, and the striga is a bird-like creature which fed on human flesh and blood in Roman and Greek mythology. Now, I can absolutely do that in a few. So, one thing I want to point out about the categories and the threat force levels. When you see a character or an adversary that was made and it is a alpha ranked enemy, right? The Kasa Obaki that my players fought in the first episode of The Desperate Gamble. They're basically umbrella monsters, umbrella demons. Japanese culture, very cool. So, that is a standard Obaki. I made them an alpha ranked enemy. They were fairly weak. There was a bunch of them. And they were dream-right creatures, right? Very evasive, hard to hit. That was a Kasa Obaki. Now, every group, how do I say what I'm trying to say? One of the things I love about Greek mythology, it's a segue, I know, but it'll make sense in a second. One of the things I love about Greek mythology is that Greek mythology doesn't exist. Weird to say, right? We all know fucking Hades and Persephone and Zeus and whatever. Greek mythology does not really exist because there was no Greece. There were a shitload of Greek city-states, and each one had their own slightly different version of the myths. Classic example is Medusa, right? Medusa, why was she turned into a Gorgon? In some versions of the myth, she was a victim of assault. In others, she was a willing perpetrator of desecration. And on and on. So which version of that myth is reality? Which one in the Shattered World do I use? The answer is all of them. So here's how I do that. If I scroll back up, and again, keep in mind what you're looking at is my notes. So these are English-ish. This is not how the book will look. This is before I move everything to the actual published side and make it look pretty. But you'll see here, alpha threat adversaries, blah, blah, blah. Alpha threat force enemies have a base score of 1 in all of their attributes. Their max attribute is 4. Keep in mind for players, that's 5. And then 6 additional points spent wherever the hell they want. And their rookie level, so 1 skill point in 2 different skills. 1 schism. Schisms oh, there's always going to be more boobage. There's always room for more boobage, just like Jell-O. But schisms are how we represent the difference in major myths. Why this myth is a little different depending on which person is talking about them. For example, everybody knows who Persephone is, right? The wife of Hades. How did she become queen of the underworld? Because Hades fucking kidnapped her. And she ate the pomegranate. We all know that legend. Legends of Persephone predate Legends of Hades. Specifically, Legends of Persephone as the queen of the underworld predate Hades. Something I always found cool when I found that out. But people can believe in the same basic story and have these major differences. So the schism system is how we represent that. So we made the Casa Obaki. Let me get back onto the right tab so I can scroll down. So here is the rough Casa Obaki. Casa Obaki has the Schism Annoyance. When this adversary makes a successful attack or a maneuver against an opponent, that opponent takes a -2 penalty to offensive maneuvers against any target other than this adversary. Again, they're annoying them. Now, let's say, in your belief system, the Casa Obaki doesn't really annoy people. It's far more malicious. It's far more known for using its razor-sharp teeth. Well, that's easy. You take out that schism, annoyance, and plug in the schism, razor teeth. So now whenever it bites, it ignores some armor. Or whenever it bites, it causes bleed damage. Same basic creature, but now it's a different type of threat. Say you're playing a character, right? I'm running a game. And Mind, you're playing. Super, you're playing. Mad, you're playing if you're still in the thread, right? You're all playing in this game. And all of you grew up together, and in your characters' backstories, you, as children, you were attacked by a Casa Obaki, and somebody stopped it, but you're having nightmares about it. And in your nightmares, because you were a kid when you saw it, in your nightmares, this Casa Obaki still towers above you. You swap out that schism for a giant size, or for whatever one it qualifies for to make the most thematic sense. Say you're running into a bunch of Casa Obaki, and you learn that this family is well known for, making golems or whatever, and they've been trying to create their own version of the Casa Obaki. Well, that's again easy. Scrolling back up, we see that Dream Rights have a bonus to their max and base agility, gain rookie evasiveness, and gain the minor image schism for free, and have a weakness called the Fleeting Dream. You take those away from the Casa Obaki, you give it the Forgeborn shit, so now its endurance is a little higher, gains some technology, gains the Energized Schism for free, and now you have what is still recognizably a Casa Obaki, but a completely different threat. You can have an army of 28 Casa Obaki, each one a slightly different from every other one, just by switching out things. Our goal was to make everything very modular to better support letting you tell the story that makes sense. If that makes sense. So, tell you what, I like the idea of that coin bound. So, let's see. Tell you what, doesn't get any more traditional than Queen Mab. So I don't like using named characters so much. So let's make... Let me go back. Mab's Dealmaker. So, T-Force, we wanted that to be Delta, because Mind apparently doesn't like any of you, and they want to see something wreck house. So, scrolling back up, Delta adversaries, they have a base score of 4 in all of their attributes. They have no max. Oh, that's why. These were notes. So, you'll notice I forgot to put the max in. Because, again, yay notes. You guys are getting to see the awesome stuff right here. Again, I am a professional. But, so, right now we're just going to say there is no max. Fuck it. That's what I get for messing up. So, they have a base score of 4, and we get 6 additional points. What do we know about Mab's Enforcer? Normally, we would look to our legends and myths to kind of factor things out. We're going to put 2 of those points into mental acuity. We're going to put 2 of those points into agility. And 1 point each into resolve and endurance. So they're extremely smart and agile. Again, for your attributes, 5 is human max. 5 mental acuity is your Einstein. That's your Galileo, your Newton. Those are your heavy thinkers. They're like the guy from, or Vicini from fucking Princess Bride. How smart are you? You ever hear of Plato, Socrates, Galileo? Yeah, morons. That's mental acuity 6. Ditto agility 6. Agility 5 would be your Olympic gold medalist. I can never pronounce her last name. Simone. Fuck, I always blank on it and I feel bad. Yes. Oppenheimer is another good example of an intellect 5. Simone Biles. Why can I never remember her last name? Anyway. Alright, we will wait just a minute while the ad is on. All right. Yay, welcome back. You know, it doesn't surprise me that Isra says that. Um, that's why whenever it'll be your cochineal. That's why I just get the big 64 pack. You know, I make sure everybody has a snack. But to go back to what I was saying, um, I forgot what I was saying. More than a minute and a half had passed. But so this character, Mab's Dealmaker, Ferocity 4, Agility 6, Endurance 5, Mental Acuity 6, Resolve 5. So they are at human max when it comes to willpower, when it comes to endurance. They are almost as ferocious as the most ferocious humans, and they are supernaturally agile and smart. All adversaries, unless otherwise specified, get 2 actions per turn. Excuse me. Their speed, just like humans, is equal to 4 plus their agility. So in this case, they can move 10 squares per action. Adversaries, unless otherwise specified, do not get destiny points. Destiny abilities are almost exclusively the realm of the enhanced. Now, there are some schisms that can give low-level destiny abilities, but at least in core, you will never see an adversary with a tier 3 or tier 4 destiny abilities. Those are for players. So, evasions, unless otherwise specified, base of 2. Base armor is 0. And then it doesn't have a salary. They have 12 wounds. Yeah, I'll make it look pretty later. But let's just get the boxes there. What is it? So, Delta adversaries, again, for those that have missed previous streams, skills run on a level of 1 to 7. You'll hear me use the terms, and you'll see in the book, Rookie, Specialist, and Pinnacle. Skills run on a rank of 1 to 7. I almost said 1 to 4. What the hell? 1 to 7. 1 is I've got the basic bare bones training in how to use this skill, but I am not able to do it on my own yet to a satisfactory degree. I'm a glorified flashlight holder, right? That's rank 1. Rank 3, and that's known as Rookie. You've started to learn this skill, you ain't shit really. 3 is Competent. That's where most business professionals sit. So if I make a living as a professional athlete, I probably, and I'm just a normal athlete, right? Like I'm not a Josh Allen or a Joe Montana or a, pretend I know anything about soccer or a Michael Jordan, right? Like, I'm just a dude that goes out and plays basketball for a living. I would probably have a 3 in that skill. 3 is competent. 4 is specialist. Not only am I a little better than most people, but I've started to specialize in very specific aspects of the art. So I'm not just an artist, I specialize in Baroque masterpieces, right? Whatever. That's 4. 7 is pinnacle. You are among the best of your generation. The example I always give is, if I have a 7 in performance, right? And we're all sitting down to decide who is the Beethoven of our generation, we may not all agree that I top that list, but I'm on that fucking list. That's a 7. That's pinnacle. You are one of the big names of your generation as far as that skill is concerned. You are the Michael Jordan of your area. You are the whatever. So, as of right now, there is no way to go beyond 7 in a skill. So the Delta ranks, they gain Rookie in 2 skills, Specialist in 2 skills, and Pinnacle in 1 skill. So, what do we know about our deal maker here? Well, their whole thing is persuading people to do shit. So we'll go ahead and make persuasion their pinnacle. That is their thing. They have 2 skills that will be specialist, where they are better than the average person. Performance is pretty common, at least pop culture wise, along most of the Fae. So we'll make them a specialist in performance. And then a lot of them, with this one, again, he's not really a I'm going to beat the shit out of you. He's more, we're going to make a deal, and then you're going to beat the shit out of yourself type of person. So for his second specialist, let's go ahead and give it to leadership. I thought about doing intimidate. But when you reach that high a level in the court, you probably have a lot of underlings, a lot of people under you, you've got people to handle the wet work shit. You don't need to get your hands dirty. You're above that. So, finally, they have 2 rookie ranks. So, let's go ahead. And again, stealth is pretty common among the fair folk. Let's go ahead and give him a little bit of sleight of hand. Not that he would ever steal from you. Stealing is wrong. So, we now have the basic skills of our character. Again, Pinnacle, their aptitude is 7. Anything that we marked specialist, their aptitude is 4. And then anything that we marked rookie is 1. So at this point, we've got his basics down. We can then gear the character up. But this gives us our basic, this is Mab's Dealmaker, completely naked with nothing else. The last thing to do before we start equipping him is schisms. Delta adversaries get 4 schisms. Schisms, again, operate a similar level as merits for player characters. Now, I am not going to pull any of them up because those, I want to be a surprise. But that is where we would give him the real threat abilities. So, for example, I can show you the, I'll just go back to the Kasobaki as an example. Oh, I forgot to do something. So, what type of creature, what category of creature, sorry, it's late for me, y'all, is our Delta ranked guy? We decided he was coin bound. So all coin bound have +1 to their max and base resolve. So resolve was 5. It's now 6. Gain rookie leadership. They already have specialist. So that is going to move up to Pinnacle. They gain the contract schism for free. And they have the bound condition. So again, I'm still in the process of making a smaller version of the sheet that looks good for adversaries. Adversaries, by their nature, won't need as much stuff as a player character sheet. This is just an example. But based on our Delta threat, never run with schisms. They're pointy. Martin Luther ran with schisms, and look what happened to him. Created a whole new religion. Stabbed it into the door. And yes, mind, deltas are basically the big movers and shakers as far as myths go. Again, I personally try to avoid using like in the Shattered World, you're not going to see Medusa, but you will see a Gorgon. You won't see Queen Mab, but you may see Mab's Enforcer. I try to avoid naming the big deities only because there's no such thing as a dead religion. It's one thing for me to say, okay, in this game, you can fight against biblically accurate angels. Um, Not copyright so much, because again, they're ideas. You can't copyright Jesus. But you can piss off a lot of people that think Jesus is real. And again, I'm trying to toe that line between representation and caricature. I'm trying to avoid, like, I know there are still people that believe in the Norse gods. I'm trying to avoid Odin and Thor, but I will use Valkyries. I will use Thor's Chosen. I will use Jehovah's Prophet. I will use Buddha's left fucking testicle, right? Whatever. I will try to include representations of different myths and religions. I'm probably not going to use the actual deities themselves, if only because I don't want to hear people complaining about how, by the rules, I said Jesus could beat up Thor. That's not what I'm trying to do here. Does that make sense? Again, I don't have to agree with a religion to try and show it at least the basic level. Right, exactly. Exactly. Other writers and creators have no problem doing that, and more power to them. In a later book, I may create a new tier of adversaries. Power creep is a thing, and one of the things I've tried to do with the Shattered World is not only acknowledge that, but work it into the book itself. So, for example, when you read the Destiny section, the first bit of it, the intro, the person writing the intro, quote unquote, straight out says the Destiny abilities listed here are not the end all be all of every Destiny ability that is known to exist at this time. New Destiny abilities are being created seemingly daily because, again, the first enhanced only appeared 5 years ago, and for the first 2 to 3 years, they were thought to be infected and hunted. So there hasn't been a lot of time to fully explore what they can do. So my plan is I'm releasing the 12 destinies with 12 destiny abilities each. So that's what, 112 times 12 is 144, right? Close enough. Um but yeah, I'm releasing those destiny abilities, and then with every major field manual, every major campaign book, I'm going to release not only a new destiny, but new destiny abilities and update previous ones with errata if needed. The errata is the part that if needed, not the creating new destiny abilities. So, in the end, the abilities will be growing and changing as the world itself grows and changes and learns new things. While this is a classless, levelless system, system mastery is a thing, and it's something I want to reward. I don't want to reward bullshit, but I want to reward system mastery and shenanigans. I love shenanigans. Um, I may, in like book 2 or 3, introduce a new tier, and that may be the Epsilon tier adversaries, and that's where you start to find your Odins, your Queen Mabs, your Titanias, etc., etc. I haven't decided that yet. That's a little far out. I want to make sure the foundations are set first. If all of that makes sense. Sorry, I know that was a lot of rambling. Excuse me. I like how my mouse is moving on the screen. I'm not even on that tab at the moment. All right, but that is yes. Eventually I would. So what I'm about to say, this is not something that I'm planning. I'm not reaching out. I wouldn't even know how to do that. But I would love to include newer versions of myths in the Shattered World. I would love to include SCP Foundation. I would love to include Old Gods of Appalachia. I would love to include stuff like that. I would love to include miscellaneous anime bullshit. One of the reasons, so I started with a very top-down design. I knew from the beginning there was things I wanted in this game, and the game had to be able to support it. Period. I wanted base building, settlement building. I wanted the tears. The tears were the first thing I came up with for this world. I would absolutely love a Turbo Granny crossover. Dan to Dan, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think 14-year-old me would like it more than 41-year-old me likes it, but 41-year-old me likes it a lot. The show should not be as good as it is. It is stupid. It is fucking stupid, but it is amazing. For those of you who haven't seen Dan to Dan yet, go watch it. Get through the first episode. The first episode is a little much. The first episode is a lot, but it is just completely absurd, and it is great. Also, Momo's grandma is amazing. I love her. Her and her bat. Yes, mommy. But joking aside, I would love to do crossovers like that. Now, again, I'm not reaching out. I wouldn't know how to do that. Let me get some experience under my belt with this, and then I would love to reach out. But one of the reasons why I did the riffs was because the tears. One of the reasons why I did the tears was because that allows you to basically justify any genre you want to play. I don't have all the mechanics in place right now, and they're not all going to be in core. But with the tears being what they are, with each one leading to a pocket dimension, if you can think of it, you can justify it in this world. Do you want to play a horror game? Cool. You find a tear, you stabilize it, and it opens to what seems to be a never-ending boiler room. And you can hear the sound of rusty metal nails dragging across pipes. There you go. You stabilized a portal, and a book covered in human skin falls out. There you go. You want to play a more medieval style? Cool. I've seen The Gate. That was a surprisingly decent anime. The Gate just happened. Have fun. The basis of the game is urban fantasy. Magic exists, tech exists, skyscrapers, cell phones, the internet, etc. What these tears do is up to you as the narrator and y'all as the players. Fantasy races. So, again, I said earlier, fantasy races in core are not going to exist. There are no dwarves or elves, none living. But again, there are all these pocket dimensions. I plan on introducing the fantasy races two ways. Number one, they're an actual race. If you go through a tear to Middle Earth, the tear closes behind you and you fall into lava. Sorry, dude. But, so fantasy races, take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt. This is something I'm still designing, and this is going to be... So my goal is 5 campaign books, and then story change and remaster of the game. So each campaign book, we're talking 5 to 10 years down the road. My goal is, I'm roughly plotting out that far down the future because I want to make sure everything fits. But my goal for the fantasy races, you'll be able to see them one of 2 different ways. Number 1, if you want to play an elf, you came through a tear, you're now in this world, you will have a certain amount of points. The basic elf costs X points. You reduce your wealth by a certain amount because you just don't have as much now that you came through this tear and you're in a completely different world. And that's kind of how you balance it. The other way is surgery. You were born in this world, in the Shattered World. You're a human. But you basically had physical/magical cosmetic surgery. And now you look like an elf or a dwarf. You have X amount of points to spend. Getting enhanced hearing and pointy ears costs 2 points. Enhancing your eyeballs costs 2 points. Giving yourself hollow bones or whatever to make yourself lighter reduces your stamina by 1, but increases your agility by 1, and that costs however many points. Go. And the different surgeries don't stack. They only cost, or they cost X amount and they're extremely expensive. Blah, blah, blah. Again, that's not something that is finalized yet. That is just to give you an idea of what I'm looking at doing. What else? Any questions for me so far? Anything that I've been confusing on, anything I rambled too much on, anything I didn't ramble enough on. All right, I'm going to give you guys just another minute or two to think. And then one of the things I've started doing, I did it last time, I'm trying to do it more, is rating other channels. I'm trying to reach out to the community more, learn a little bit more, interact a little bit more. So, one of the things I'm going to do, will players likely come across elves, dwarves that fled through tears in future errata? Yes. So again, my rough plan is for core rulebook and campaign book number 1, in the overall meta narrative, for the tears to be abandoned. When you go through, you may see animals or creatures, but sentient player race characters? No. You may find evidence of them, but no. Now, again, your home table is your home table. If you want the first portal your players to go through, the first tear, to lead to Middle Earth itself, I'm not going to come over and yell at you and smack your wrist because you're playing my game incorrectly. It's your fucking home game. You gave me your money. I'm good. I'm not going to yell at you. But for the overarching meta narrative, if you want to, I will absolutely make that a stretch goal. Hehehe. But if we get an extra 10% over the original Kickstarter price, I will come to your home with a ruler and I will spank you. You will enjoy it. So, I don't like that I said that and immediately the number of viewers jumped. No mind. No, it doesn't. I said that and more people came in. Ooh, rulers. I want to know what this game is about. So, that's right. Other games let you create characters and NPCs and do all kinds of shit. No. I come to your home with a ruler. Yeah. I'm sorry I won't actually do that. Please buy my stuff. I love you. Where was I? Yay, backtracking. So, I'm going to give you guys just another minute or two. Oh, I both love and hate that. That is horrible. You're going to take it. But I am going to, in just a minute, start a raid for a random tabletop RPG streamer. I'm not sure who it's going to be. I'm basically rolling a dice and then going down the list, and that's the number I'm going to do. I will link the raid, give you guys a minute to go in, and then, again, you don't have to. Just trying to make more connections and get us exposed to more players. So, I like the idea of All right, so this one is LGBTQ friendly. We're going to click there. All right. Thank you, everybody who stopped by. I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me as I basically just talk shit. All right. Take care. I will talk to you next time.